November 2020. Roman Reigns has returned to the WWE, has reclaimed his championship, and has declared himself the tribal chief, the head of the table, and the draw in the WWE. After losing in a classic match at Clash of Champions and saying, I quit to save his brother Jimmy in Hell in a Cell, Jey Uso was left with a choice: fall in line or banishment. Jey chose family, telling his cousin Roman. Jey proved himself again the following week, laying out Kevin Owens after their match. Will the story go on now that Jey Uso finally has aligned himself with Roman Reigns? It's time to rewind the Bloodline. We are now just 2 weeks away from Survivor Series, and our saga is going to take an interesting turn as Jey has secured a position on Team SmackDown in the elimination match, and Roman is set to face the Raw champion on the show. Goose, how about you get us kicked off with this November 13th, 2020 edition of SmackDown?
All right, man. So we are live in the Thunderdome, and we're kicking off Friday Night SmackDown with the head of the table, the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. Michael Cole tells us that Roman has a different attitude. He's a different superstar, and he's focused on his championship and his family.
And the first thing that jumped out to me in this was Roman was wearing jeans, and that was so strange to me because before we would see him in the combat gear whenever he was, the big dog, and now he's been wearing these joggers and the t-shirt, and he just come out in jeans. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel Roman.
Yeah, it felt like the teacher dress down days.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's
just seeing somebody that doesn't wear jeans. It's different.
It's so true.
So Michael Cole says that now Roman needs to focus on one man and one man only. And we'll find out who that man is, Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre. The two are going to face off on the upcoming Raw. Orton is the current champion, and Corey Graves says that Randy Orton is having the best year of his career and that he believes that Randy Orton will be going to Survivor Series.
Mark my words, Orton marches into Survivor Series.
Dun, dun, dun. Quick, angle alert or whatever you want to say right there. Roman will face one or the other, and this will decide who truly is the best of the best, which is the theme of this year's show.
Yes, and Cole says that Roman is at the top of his game and that
the confidence oozing out of this man.
And we start with Roman and Paul in the ring, Roman with the belt, and Paul hands him the microphone.
Dude, I love this. So Roman says,
"What do you call this place, Paul?"
And Paul responds off the microphone, but to Roman. And Roman says,
"The island of relevancy."
Why is that? And Paul, serious as a heart attack, says,
"Is relevant."
Paul is now starting to turn into a major superstar. He already was in the story, but he is now elevating himself. It doesn't seem possible that he could, but he's really starting to take off.
He's shining.
Roman says,
"And the numbers, the analytics, they don't lie."
You can look at it in the flesh. Take my cousin Jey Uso, for example. Before he was the twin that you didn't know which one he was, and now he's pretty much
main event Jey Uso.
And yes, if you are keeping score at home, you can mark down November 13th, 2020 was the date that main event Jey Uso was officially born.
Love it. And here we are in real time here. We're going to main event Saturday night's main event with main event Jey Uso fighting for the championship. So Roman lets us know that Jey took out Daniel Bryan 2 weeks ago, and we haven't seen him since. Last week, he destroyed Kevin Owens. Roman then says, now
Survivor Series, he's going to lead my team.
Team SmackDown to victory. And on that same night, I will establish my dominance and I will beat WWE's
secondary champion,
Randy Orton. And if you think about Randy Orton,
which I don't,
he's a classic example of you can respect the accomplishments, but still not respect the man himself.
And as he finishes saying that, Drew McIntyre's music hits. And Cole and Graves sell it huge as a big surprise. Graves says Heyman looks like he's just seen a ghost. Drew comes out and he's just grinning ear to ear in that classic Drew McIntyre face. I need to say that as much as we bury Vince for feeding these lines to commentators, like they actually were doing a really good job here. Corey Graves does an excellent job of telling us that Heyman actually does know what McIntyre is capable of because he was Brock's second when Drew threw Brock out in the Rumble and then he beat him at Mania. So this was really good here.
Yeah, and again, this is prime time storytelling because this is something that they could have left for the audience to remember or recall.
Yeah.
But look, man, it's better when you tell us. Bring it to the forefront for the people that didn't know, or maybe I couldn't tell you who Cody threw out in the final four of last year's Rumble. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that callback is really nice. So Drew says,
Roman Reigns. It's been a minute.
Paul Heyman.
Did you miss me?
And then Drew basically says, I was just passing through town and I don't want to waste your time. I heard you talking about Randy Orton. Randy Orton isn't going to be champion.
It's going to be you and me.
And then Drew reminds Roman that the last time that they met, it was Drew throwing Roman out of the ring at the Royal Rumble.
I was eliminating you to win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I like that. My only gripe is just like, we all know it's the Thunderdome. It's in a static place, and like you're not just passing through town. You were
right
on Raw in the same. I couldn't spell my disbelief on that one.
Right, it's exactly right. This wasn't one of these things where we have the traveling show and oh my God, it's here. It's literally, yeah, he was in the back, but whatever.
Drew then reminds Paul that he beat Paul's guy at WrestleMania in 5 minutes.
I made your client my bitch.
And Roman, he doesn't even remember WrestleMania. He left us high and dry. He left the fans high and dry. Somebody has to step up.
That somebody was Drew McIntyre.
And he says that Roman sees being the top guy as a right, but Drew sees it as an honor. He just wants Roman to know that he's the man now, and he's going to prove it at Survivor Series.
I am the man now, and I will prove it at Survivor.
This is all great stuff from Drew. And the really cool thing is that Drew's delivery here isn't just like white meat, like the cookie cutter baby face that WWE tried to give us through the late teens, 20 teens into the early 2020s. He's just authentically, he's a tough guy. He's a bad dude. And I like this man. So Roman responds,
I like you, Drew.
I always have. I respect you too. Everything you said was the truth.
But I'm back now.
And ever since I came back,
nobody knows who you are.
I don't watch Raw. And I'm thinking, me either. So he's right. It's all good. Nobody does. Nobody watches Raw because they all watch SmackDown. And everybody watches SmackDown
because they're all watching me.
Roman wants Drew to tell us who Drew McIntyre is. Drew says he's the guy who's going to beat Randy Orton. He's going to go to Survivor Series, and he's going to
who the secondary champion really is.
Great stuff. So Jey runs down, and he says, this ain't Monday Night Oos. It's Friday Night SmackDown.
We run these shows.
What you doing here, Oos? So Jey says that Drew's being disrespectful, and the last two people who were disrespectful, which were Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens,
that was disrespectful was Daniel Bryan. I'ma get
paid for it. So now Drew's going to pay for it as well. Jey challenges Drew to a match tonight. Drew shoves Jey down, and then he stares directly at Roman.
And I love Jey showing the confidence here, almost overconfidence. In challenging Drew and making his own match, I like that. It felt like Jey was really trying to step up, and he was going to be the one that he's going to be the shield kind of per se for Roman here. But also I thought that Paul's face in the background was incredible.
Awesome selling in the back.
Yes. So Roman and Jey and Paul all roll out together as Drew is standing in the ring, furrowing his brow.
We come back from the break. Roman is backstage. There's now screaming at Jey.
saying we.
Ours, us, I run this. This is all mine.
I called the shots around.
I'm the head of the...
Who's the Universal Champion?
And he screams at Jey for trying to take matters into his own hands and make his match. And Jey gives the nod and walks up. So like where we thought that this was good, it's kind of cool to see like Roman he's still got that like nasty, dirty grittiness about him. And he's just going to keep burying Jey.
Oh, he's the boss dog. He's the boss hog. He's the man that's in charge, and this is him asserting his dominance in the back. Good stuff, dude. This is layering for later on. Obviously, I love it. One thing I don't love as much is the Liberator Sami Zayn comes to the ring all upset because he has to defend against Apollo Crews. And man, liberate the Liberator from this gimmick, dude. Sammy retains in the match, and again, I'll be saying it for the next year of shows that we do. Free Sammy.
So we go to the back, and Adam Pearce is talking to Drew. He says that Drew is not a SmackDown wrestler, so he can't officially sanction this match. And I actually like that they're kind of keeping roster continuity here for once. Feels like they didn't get about it for 10 years. It didn't matter what you did in the draft. It was whoever. But he says, but if you want to fight, I can give you that fight tonight.
And Drew says, let me think about it. He asks Pierce if he met Drew before, knows Drew, knows what Drew's all about, and if he knows the answer. And they're really clever at the same time. They look at each other and they say,
Yes. There we go.
So Dom, One-Eye Rey Mysterio, and the Mysterio girls are now backstage getting ready for Seth Rollins. Rey reminds us of the eye for an eye match. And I need to say, what a missed opportunity that was. You're in the Thunderdome, dude. Like, you couldn't CGI an eyeball popping out or something like that. Do you know what I mean? This could have been insane. And instead, it was a fake eye popping out. Do you know what I mean? Whatever. So Sasha Banks comes to the ring. And I note this because we then get an official graphic for Drew versus Jey in an unsanctioned match tonight.
Backstage later in the show, Chad Gable gives Otis his first pamphlet or whatever to join Alpha Academy. So we are just sowing all kinds of seeds for future storylines in this show.
And it's neat that there is a lot of payoff to what's going on here, years later. That's cool. So Seth versus Rey actually got a full video package and then a lot of time in the middle of the show. Bringing this up because obviously we have Survivor Series ramifications here. So no holds barred to settle the score. So the match has a lot of plunder. The story here ends with Murphy turning on Seth. Rey hits the frog splash. Rey wins. Rey gives Murphy his approval. And I guess now Murphy is an honorary Luch.
So afterwards, backstage, Rollins is flipping out on Pierce about his disciple Murphy betraying him, and he demands Pierce giving Rollins a chance to destroy him. So we go later in the show, and Kayla is talking to Drew and asks if it's a wise decision to face Jey Uso just days before facing Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. So Drew says that
I actually came here to send a message to Roman.
But now he's going to send a message to Randy Orton. So he tells Jey to look at the camera.
I'm in a great mood.
And he's going to whoop Jey in his own backyard.
So after a Big E and Street Profits segment backstage, Drew's music hits and he makes his way down to the ring. Corey Graves tells us this is an unsanctioned match, so Raw nor SmackDown can be held responsible for what these two are about to do to each other. Cool little note there. Jay's music hits. He walks out to the ring. But as he's doing so, he's selling some really great facials. Like, still that sort of like brooding / conflicted. You know what I'm saying? I like this.
Yeah, it's making him look like he's battered and beaten down, which I really like.
Doing the bidding of the older cousin, man.
Yes. So we start off with a lockup, and Drew takes the early advantage with the shoulder tackle. And this is becoming a pretty common occurrence where Jey is just taking these early beatings in these matches.
And I do need to know, while this was on, Mrs. Mongoose says to me, aren't these two fighting now? Like, didn't you just watch these guys? And I just need to say that they must be doing something right, because I was shocked that they knew that that these two were just in a match. So good on you, WWE, for making things stick with somebody who does not care.
Yeah. So Drew is in control here, gets a near fall, stomps Jay's fingers. He's smack talking Jey to prove himself before he starts throwing some chops.
So for the first few minutes, every time Jey would get something going, Drew would cut him off. Jey finally gets some heat during the break, and we come back to Drew starting a comeback. Jey hits a Samoan drop for 2. Jey gets cut off trying to hip attack in the corner. Drew then starts his comeback, hits a neck breaker, and then a kip up.
We then get vintage Cole as McIntyre hits the Glasgow kiss. Cole calls it the Scottish kiss, and Graves immediately corrects him.
Bless anybody that's in the booth with Michael Cole when it comes. He's Excalibur. He is not when it comes to having the move encyclopedia. So Jey cuts Drew off, hits a super kick, and goes up to the top. Drew goes up to meet him. He and Jey are trading blows. Drew's now in the tree of woe. He grabs Jey and he just hurls him across the ring. Jey's now down in the corner. Drew goes for a Claymore, but Jey powders.
And Drew is in control on the outside, and Roman's music hits.
I was about to say.
Roman and Paul come out as Drew looks on, welcoming him with open arms, and this allows Jey to sneak in and throws Drew into the post and then into the steps, and Jey throws Drew back in and tells Roman,
This match.
And Roman pulls Jey back in and says, I don't care if you beat him.
Make him understand.
While this is going on, for some reason, Little Nate is counting a count out in an unsanctioned match. That was the one thing that irritated me here. 7, 8, it's like, whatever.
Jey runs in, he just starts wailing on Drew. Drew gets up and hits Jey with a Claymore, and he gets the pin, and Roman is just twitching with irritation on the outside as the 3 count happens. The two stare at each other intensely as Drew comes out of the ring, goes face to face with Roman and says, do you understand me now? And Roman looks at the belt and says,
Get you one of these.
I instantly thought of Friday Night Lights.
Get you one of these.
Hey, brother, if it works, dude. So I love this. And we are now at the go home show for SmackDown. Hot angle to finish this one. We're at the November 20th, 2020 episode. This show starts with the Street Profits actually plugging the Survivor Series show. The New Day comes out to the ring to cut a promo because they'll be facing the Street Profits at the Survivor Series. The Liberator comes out to play foil. Soon enough, Sammy. Soon enough. So they go back and forth. King Corbin's music hits. And as much as I wanted to get ready for Survivor Series, I was so hot at the end of that show. I'm just ready to get on to the next segment here. And I am just fast forwarding. And then I just hit straight like jump once Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler come out. So holy cow.
Daniel Bryan is being interviewed by Kayla. Sami Zayn runs in and Bryan shoves him away like a geek.
He did. He just wasted him.
Yeah. So for the actual interview segment, Kayla compliments Daniel Bryan on a great haircut, and we have to cut to the video of Jey making Daniel Bryan understand.
Yeah, so Kayla says, knowing the depths that Jey's willing to go.
Are you concerned about coming back so soon to face?
And Daniel Bryan says that he actually believes that Jey didn't mean it when he said that there was nothing personal with his actions.
Jey Uso, he's got a devil on his shoulder.
And Daniel Bryan's now firing up because of what Jey did to him. And he says that Jey's the one who should be concerned. And if Jey's listening,
It's nothing personal.
Oh, I like that nothing personal. That's why he just kept screaming while he was beaten on. So later in the show, we go to a flashback of what went down last Friday with Drew hopping the fence and coming to SmackDown, confronting Roman, and then beating Jey. Cut to the Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre match from Raw. Drew claymores Randy and wins the title, so he got himself one of these. The stage is set for Roman versus Drew at Survivor Series.
back to the show, Drew's music hits, and he's the new WWE Champion. So Michael Cole says the Scottish Warrior makes his way to the ring. Cole tells us that he's here to ink the contract and to make it official for the match at Survivor Series. We cut to commercial, come back from break, and Drew and Adam Pearce are sitting at a table in the ring. Roman's Big Dog music hits. It plays for what feels like 20 seconds, and then Roman and Paul finally make their way out together. And Cole and Graves tell us that Survivor Series is about being the best of the best, removing all of the doubt, all of that other stuff.
So Roman enters the ring and bumps Adam Pearce from the head of the table.
I like this.
So Roman sits down, looks at Drew, and he starts stroking the beard. And Adam Pearce lets us know that his job is simple and that he's going to get the signatures of these two men on this contract.
And Roman says, Drew,
I knew you could do it.
Paul, not so much, but I knew. I believed you can do it. You know why?
I've been in your shoes.
All these lessons I already learned. What I'm about to tell you, Paul told me years ago.
You are the right guy in the right place at the wrong time.
That line alone is so good. I don't know who came up with that line or if Roman came up with that on the fly or if it was scripted, but I loved when he said, "You're the right guy, the right place, the wrong time."
There's no way that it wasn't Heyman. There's no way Heyman didn't actually say that to him.
You're 100% right about that.
That's what I got from it. That was a true conversation that happened between the two men.
Drew says,
You're trying to get inside my head.
anger him. Drew's getting straight to the point. You told me win myself a title. I want a title.
Not for you. For me.
Drew reminds Roman that he told him to win the title to get to the match, and that's what Drew is going to do.
Drew signs, and it's Roman's move. Drew tells Roman, do him a favor, and
Please underestimate me.
he suggests that Roman uses these last 2 days of peace to prepare for war. And then Paul gets Roman a pen.
Heyman popped me huge when he was putting that pen on the paper.
It's so good, dude. He's the best second banana. He really is.
Yeah.
So Roman just looks at the paper and says, you're going to give me advice? You're going to advise me?
The special counsel advises the tribal chief.
This is my show. The WWE is mine. I give you advice, so I'm going to allow you to sit under the learning tree.
I'm going to teach you one last lesson.
At Survivor Series, you're not going to like it,
You're not going to understand the brutal truth.
but one day you will, and that is
A secondary title holder.
you're a prop. You're a stand-in.
You're the guy with the title that they get when I'm busy. They're like,
Almost like Roman is blossoming right before our eyes. It's the Paul Heyman effect.
It is, and it's doing a wonderful job of splicing in reality with the story, because that was what they had said about Brock forever. Was Brock's going to hold this? We should have the belt right now. We don't know. Oh, bring Brock in.
Yeah.
And to me, that was where I sort of saw those layers, is that you splice in these guys to be placeholders, basically.
But Roman says he's going to tell Drew one more time he's the champion,
I am your tribal chief.
the head of the table. Drew's day will come one day where he'll finally have that opportunity to be the man, the face of this company. And when he does, he's going to look back at these nights and he's going to thank Roman.
So Drew's not only going to thank him, he's going to love Roman for them. And Roman's going to love Drew right back. And Roman says, because Drew, you're always going to be
My favorite number 2.
So Roman signs the contract. Paul hands him the belt, and the two leave the ring. Drew stands up irritated. Roman walks out confident. Drew throws his title over his shoulder. His music plays over Roman's, and Roman smiles as he gets to the top of the walkway and enters the back. And I need to say, like, I loved this segment. There was good tension, and I'm totally psyched for this match. But that Velcro strap on those belts just totally ruined it. It looks like little kid shoes.
I was just going to say, it makes a trophy look like a toy. That stinks. We pick back up with Kayla backstage with Jey, looking for his thoughts on Daniel Bryan's comments about him. And Kayla says, unless you're not allowed to talk about them. Kayla's a superstar right now.
Yes. So Jey says she still has jokes, and he has the green light to speak to Kayla, and he has the green light to finish what he started with Daniel Bryan. Doesn't like that Daniel called Roman the devil, and Jey says that everything he did to DB was his own decision. So Daniel Bryan comes to the ring first. We get another final farewell promo for The Undertaker. Jey Uso makes his way down to the ring.
And we're reminded that the Best of the Best Survivor Series eliminator match will be Team Raw, Sheamus, Bearcat Lee, AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, and Matt Riddle. And then Team SmackDown will be KO, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and Otis. And actually, I really like both of these teams on paper. I do.
I am so mad. I'm so mad about it. But we'll get to that next week.
Yep, Bart Scott, can't wait.
Can't wait.
Jey enters the ring. Cole reminds us that Roman told Jey to make Daniel Bryan understand, and the bell rings, and DB is immediately in control, starting off with some chain wrestling. Daniel Bryan is wrestling with an edge to him, and he gets Jey in a quick submission hold, then starts hitting Jey with the strikes. Jey cuts him off a few blows himself, says out loud it's
Patriarch.
not personal.
and sends Daniel Bryan into the steps, and he starts clearing off the announce table.
Yeah, so later in the match, Bryan cuts off Jey, starts his own comeback. He's selling his kidneys and his back from Jey's attack previously, but he's remaining in control with the tope suicide to the outside and a couple of strikes. We exchange blows, and Jey back body drops Daniel Bryan through that announce table. We cut to break and come back. Jey's now in firm control.
Jey continues to get heat, and every time he hits a blow, he shouts. After Daniel Bryan gets out to the apron, Bryan starts a comeback, but Jey cuts him off, and both men go to the top rope, and Jey Uso hits a superplex that gets a 2 count.
Later on, Jey's pounding Daniel Bryan's kidneys, making the man suffer. Graves asks if Daniel Bryan understands why Jey must do this. Jey goes up to the top. Daniel Bryan crotches him, climbs to the top, and he hits a reverse suplex from the top rope. Daniel Bryan starts to fire up, hits the yes kick, gets a 2 count.
Daniel Bryan strikes up the yes band, but Jey nails him with a super kick. After a few more super kicks, Jey goes to the top for the Uso splash. He jumps off. Bryan catches him, cradles him, and gets the 3 count.
Jey rolls out in disbelief here. We go off with Daniel Bryan celebrating, and Michael Cole reminds us that while Daniel Bryan is celebrating, Jey must be freaking out because now he has to face his cousin Roman, and we are ready for Survivor Series, man.
Yes, we are, and that is going to be next week's episode. Cannot wait for that one.
Great stuff, dude. So we have Roman and Drew set up. We have the Survivor Series Eliminator set up. We now are geared up for Survivor Series next week. For this episode, John, what are you putting on your Island of Relevancy?
This week for the Island of Relevancy, it has to be Roman christening Jey Uso with the main event Jey Uso moniker. I think it fits perfectly because literally this Saturday night, it is going to be main event Jey Uso going for the world championship. And I was hoping to figure out when that happened. And I'm so happy that we found it here.
Yep. Right before our eyes, brother.
And so what do you have for the Ocean of Obscurity?
I don't have anything Bloodline related that I'd actually toss in this week, but I am throwing overboard the Velcro straps on these title belts. Give these men actual belts with actual clasps that they could be proud of.
I 1000% agree with that. I hate those Velcro straps. That is episode 8. We are coming back next week with episode 9, and that is going to be Survivor Series 2020. They have the Eliminator match with Jey Uso, and we have the Drew versus Roman match. I cannot wait for that one. I have so many takes about this Eliminator match that I don't want to bury. I don't want to get too crazy here, but give it all away. But I thought that this was an excellent build. We added new characters into the story, and we're now expanding for future feuds that we're going to see here in the future post Survivor Series. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. That is the best way to support. Make sure you like and share, subscribe to all of that good stuff. It helps us out here. With that, I'm Johnny Bake Show.
I'm Teddy Mongoose.
And we just called it in the ring.